The police files a complaint against resigned Ateneo coach Tab Baldwin and 10 others for violating the Anti-Hazing Act. Senators Alan Peter Cayetano and Robin Padilla are ordered to answer a complaint of obstruction of justice for impeding the serving of an ICC arrest warrant to Senator Bato de la Rosa. The Senate, convening as a court, moves to the trial phase of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment on July 6. The UN stops escorting ships through the Strait of Hormuz after a Singaporean vessel was attacked by suspected Iranian drones. And Venezuela races to rescue hundreds trapped under the rubble after 2 powerful earthquakes. The Philippine National Police Criminal Investigation and Detection Group files a complaint for violation of the Anti-Hazing Act against resigned Ateneo men's basketball team head coach Tab Baldwin and 10 others. This over the deaths of student athletes Rene Baterbonia and Divine Adili. Aside from Baldwin, all those named in the complaint were present during the team building in Dipakulaw, Aurora last June 8. Assistant coaches John Jacinto, Dean Castaño, and Sandro Soriano, strength and conditioning coaches Grant Derns and CJ Elumba, physical therapist Jeric Rueca, student managers Paulo Manuel Adevoso and Andrew Lorenzo Salud, and utility personnel Aris Pronce and Joel Rapa. During a press conference Friday, June 26, Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla says the seawater activity during the team building featured elements of hazing under the law. These include physical or psychological suffering, prerequisite for admission or requirement for continuing membership, and forced calisthenics and exposure to weather.
At dati pong iniisip natin, ang hazing ay initiations lamang. Ngunit dito, ang team building at training ay nag-crossover papunta sa hazing.
Remulla says the CIDG conducted 320 hours of interviews with around 60 respondents, including former Ateneo players who recounted near-drowning incidents during previous editions of the Blue Eagles team building. Among those were Aaron Black and G-Boy Babylonia, who told investigators they were on the verge of drowning before they were saved by the coaches.
Yung una, nung tinanong namin si Tab Baldwin kung may nangyari ng ganton dati, na muntik malunod, sabi niya, wala. In his words in English, and we can provide the transcript. I do not recall. There was never any incident that this ever occurred. However, his former players testified that they nearly drowned. So that in itself shows a great inconsistency.
The Interior Secretary says while Ateneo may face civil liability over the deaths of Babylonia and Adili, university administrators were not aware of the seawater activity. Ateneo President Father Bobby Yap and Athletics Director M. Fernandez only found out after the incident. Remulla adds team sponsors MVP Foundation and Smart Communications had no hand in the team building. The Office of the Ombudsman orders Senators Alan Peter Cayetano and Robin Padilla to answer a complaint filed by Tindig Pilipinas of obstruction of justice. Also ordered to reply is former Senate Sergeant-at-Arms Mau Aplasca. The order gives the 3 respondents 15 days to file their counter-affidavits to the complaints of Tindig Pilipinas, which accuses them of impeding the serving of an ICC warrant to Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa in May. Tindig Pilipinas had accused Cayetano, who was then elected as the Senate President, of preventing NBI agents from taking custody of De La Rosa by virtue of the ICC warrant. Padilla is included in the complaint based on his own admission that he let De La Rosa ride with him in his vehicle to leave the Senate premises. Under Presidential Decree No. 1829, obstruction of justice is punishable by between 4 to 6 years imprisonment, fines, and perpetual disqualification from public office. The Senate Impeachment Court terminates the pre-trial conference for Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial after 5 days. This paves the way for the trial proper to commence on July 6. This comes as House prosecutors and Duterte's defense team finish the marking of evidence on the last 2 articles of impeachment, confidential funds and unexplained wealth against Duterte. Pre-trial conference happens before the actual trial to mark evidence and discuss witnesses and schedules for smoother proceedings. For Duterte's impeachment, both parties marked thousands of documentary evidence related to the allegations against the Vice President. The 4 articles of impeachment approved by the House against Duterte are questions on confidential funds usage, unexplained wealth, bribery of DepEd officials, and grave threats against President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and his family. Meantime, House Prosecution spokesperson Zia Adyong says the defense fears the opening of the BIR box containing the tax records of Duterte and her husband, Man Scarpio. This comes after the prosecution asked the Senate impeachment court to open the box for marking as evidence during the pretrial conference.
Yung sa BIR box na po yan, very important po yan doon sa unexplained wealth, no? From the very start na ayaw nila, it only speaks to us one thing, no? Na parang takot sila mabuksan itong box na ito. No? Baka ito yata yung smoking gun. In fact, hindi lang hata ito smoking gun. Para mukhang armory na itong box na ito, no?
The UN International Maritime Organization or IMO pauses its operation to escort ships through the Strait of Hormuz Thursday, June 25. A Singapore-flagged vessel was hit on the starboard side and initial inspections showed damage to the bridge windows. Its company says the crew, vessel, and cargo are all safe and the vessel has left the strait. A security source of Reuters says it was probably targeted by a drone. The US officials told Reuters Iran had fired on the ship. Iran's Persian Gulf Strait Authority says vessels outside routes it set will not be guaranteed safe passage. The IMO has been helping to get hundreds of stranded ships and thousands of seafarers out of the strait. Meantime, shipping data show Saudi Aramco resumed oil loading at its Ras Tanura terminal in the Gulf after a near 4-month halt, while Saudi Arabia's shipping arm Bahri is also seen loading crude at Ras Tanura. Hundreds of people in Venezuela are trapped under rubble and many more remain unaccounted for after 2 powerful earthquakes devastated areas in and around the capital Caracas Wednesday, June 24. Head of Venezuela's National Assembly Jorge Rodriguez says at least 200 people had been trapped with 250 buildings damaged or destroyed. The U.S. Geological Survey says a magnitude 7.2 earthquake hit about 160 kilometers west of Caracas, followed less than a minute later by a magnitude 7.5 tremor. Health Minister Carlos Alvarado says around 235 dead had been received by medical centers but did not give a total number of casualties. Venezuela Interim President Delcy Rodriguez says the worst affected area, La Guaira State near Caracas, has become a disaster zone. Rodriguez adds they are carrying out intense rescue efforts and working with businesses to deploy heavy machinery. The USGS, using predictive modeling, estimates the death toll would most likely run into the thousands with a substantial probability of exceeding 10,000. And that's today's wrap. I'm JC Gotinga. Thank you for watching. Click the link below for the full story. For more updates, download the Rappler app.